All right, it's not just that there was no sound. It's that I also all right, hold on. I was doing a whole bunch of things. Ah, I apologize for that. All right, welcome into the High Noon Stream. Pugs Moran every Monday through Friday. You know what? You know what you missed. You didn't miss anything. Yeah, I said when the show airs Monday through Friday at noon. I then talked about Pugs and Parker. That was at 9 o'clock Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. More conversational Pugs and Parker is. This is topic driven, current events driven, hot take driven, that sort of thing. So this one Monday through Friday at noon, hot topic, current events driven. And then every Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m., Pugs and Parker, more conversational. Last night on Pugs and Parker, we had Richard Hunter join us, Big Dick Hunter from the old Live 105.3 days. And the ticket, he told a bunch of ticket stories. He told a bunch of Live 105.3 stories. And it was good. If you want to hear, if you missed it last night, you can find all old shows at pugscast.com. Pugscast.com is a direct link to our YouTube page. Now, I don't know. When I go to the YouTube page for, pugscast.com, I only see like one video. I have to click on live. There's like a live option, live videos or what. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I click on that and then all the videos show up. So if you're like slightly troglodytous as I am, I invented a word. That's right. But I think you guys know what I was trying to say. If you're like me, that might help you. All right, so let's get into what this show is. What is today? So we do the show every day, and how we do it, we break it down into a couple of different parts. First, we start out with the history of the day. We go through all of the things, the big events throughout history that have shaped what this day is. Then we celebrate some birthdays. We go through a list of, celebrities, notable quotables, that kind of thing. We go through a list of those. We celebrate them, or we, whatever. We dance on their graves. It depends. And then we do some deaths. We do people we've lost on this day. So after we do that, the history of the day, the births of the day, and the deaths of the day, then we sort of feel good, I think. We like, okay, we understand what this day has been. Then we jump into the topics of today. Everything that is shaping what today will be seen as by future generations. Sure. All right. Took a little bit of daytime cold medicine because I don't know if you were with us last night, but my voice is going again. I don't know why. Oh, what do you mean? I don't know why. Because it was like 30 and then it was 80 and now it's like 80 again. I don't know. I have a very delicate system. All right, let's talk about today. Today is high noon for the 21st day of February. Year of our Lord. Did it again. I put 2022, but we all know it's 2023. February 21st is the 52nd day of the year. There are 313 days remaining until the end of the year. All right, let's get into some of the big events of this day, okay? Big events. The events that shaped what February 21st has meant to the world. 1804, the first self-propelling steam locomotive makes its outing. Where a Virgin outing, first steam locomotive. Like, wouldn't you think like, well, I don't know. When I think locomotives, I think like Wyoming, but then again, that was like long after the locomotive. Like the locomotive was probably, I think what, New York, something like, no, Wales. That's right. On this day in Wales, the Penny Darren Ironworks in Wales is where the first self-propelling steam locomotive made its maiden outing. On this day in 1804. On this day in 1848, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels published the Communist Manifesto. It was on this day in 1848. Oh, we're going to be a bestseller. Let's see. On this day in 1878, the first telephone directory is issued in New Haven, Connecticut. And I bet you to this day that very same book is sitting in the back of some old house's closet, just covered in like 100 years worth of dust. Isn't that where you guys always kept your phone books on the floor of like the hall closet? It seems like where they all went. And it's probably where they all still are. You go into any old house, go into any grandma's house. I bet you she's got just a bunch of phone books in her closet. On this day in 1948, let's jump ahead. NASCAR is incorporated. Happy birthday, NASCAR. Ooh. Isn't NASCAR, is it has I don't even know if I wanna ask this question. Was I wanna say I read something that, like, NASCAR is now woke? I don't even know what is woke exactly, I don't know. But, what is that a thing? Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't wanna go into it, but that struck me as interesting. I don't think NASCAR is woke. Is it? On this day in 1965, oh, speaking of being woke, on this day in 1965, Malcolm X is gunned down while giving a speech at the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem. I was on this day in 1965. That's interesting because I am watching the latest season of The Godfather of Harlem, which is so good, you guys. Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what it's on. I don't even whatever. It's on one of the things that I pay for, or or borrow from. You know what I mean? Um, Godfather of Harlem. So it stars Forrest Whitaker. You know Sleepy Eye, Forrest Whitaker. You know Forrest Whitaker. He's awesome and everything. Ghost Dog, Samurai. He's uh, Forrest Whitaker plays the real life Bumpy Johnson. What was his first name? Lenny? Leonard? I don't know. Bumpy Johnson was the godfather of Harlem. He was like the mob boss that ruled over Harlem in the drug trade and all that kind of stuff. So Forrest Whitaker plays him in the 1960s, and he's actually friends with Malcolm X. And they're like depicting right now in the episodes that I'm watching where Malcolm X is like being hunted by people. And there you have it. So it's interesting because I just watched that episode last night. And on this day in 1965, Malcolm X is gunned down while giving a speech at the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem. On this day in 1972, the United States President Richard Nixon visits China. Yeah, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Nixon went to China. I mean, a little before my time, but I know it was a big deal. I was on this day in 1972. On this day in 1995. Oh God, this guy. You guys remember this guy? Steve Fawcett lands in Leader, Saskatchewan. It's Canada, becoming the first person to make a solo flight across the Pacific Ocean in a balloon. Yeah, he was like the first of the balloon guys. And you remember that was a thing, and then the billionaires got involved in the balloon stuff. And then the billionaires went, wait, we can make rockets and we can go even higher and faster. So they did that because that's a very billionaire kind of thing to do. Um, Steve Fawcett was like this I don't know, hedge fund guy, whatever, billionaire dude. And he was an adventurer. It wasn't enough for him to accumulate all this wealth and run these big companies. No, he needed to like fly experimental aircraft and take balloons around the globe. Yeah, these balloon. I'm glad we're done with the balloon guy. Are we done with the balloon guys? Well, we shoot them out of the air now. So yeah, I think for the time being, we're done with balloon guys. Balloon balloonicism. What would it be? Balloon. But I was thinking like hooliganism, but balloonigism. I don't know. Balloonigism is not being tolerated these days. All right, let's get into some birthdays. Now, this is we're gonna run through some birthdays. We're gonna do them a little bit quicker than we usually do because there's a lot. Born on this day in 1925, Sam Peckinpah, American director and screenwriter. I have to admit that I consider myself to be a pretty good historian of like old timey Hollywood and movies and stuff like that. I'm fascinated by that industry. It's a cultural blind spot, pop cultural blind spot. Sam Peckinpah. I should know more about Sam Peckinpah movies than I do. I don't. Anyway, happy birthday to you, Sam Peckinpah. You're dead. You've been dead a long time, but born on this day, umbilical cousins with old Sam Peckinpah. We got Dr. Jack Ramsey. Dr. Jack Ramsey, who's a basketball play-by-play guy. He died in 2014, but if you're of a certain age, you remember Dr. Jack. Born on this day in 1927, dead in 96. Irma Bombeck, American journalist and author. I don't know I don't know who she was. I just know that was a name that I knew when I was little, but I don't know why. What'd she do? What did Irma Bombeck do? I know that name. I mean, it had fun alliteration, Irma bomb bomb. It was a bomb back. It was fun to say. So it's stuck in your mind. I just don't know what she did. Apparently, she was a writer. Born on this day in 1929, Chesparito, Mexican actor, director, producer, and screenwriter. I don't know who this guy is, but I'm inclusive, and that's a good thing. So I recognize that Chespirito is considered one of the great comedians of all time. As I say, I don't know much about him. I've never been blown away by his work. I don't even know that I've ever watched any of his work. He might be a very funny guy. I know that he's widely considered to be one of the great comedians of all time. So just because my own ignorance doesn't allow me to co-sign on that, I do say happy birthday to you, Chespirito. Dead in 2014. Was it Dear? Yeah. Okay. So what? Jen Hernandez, Dear Abby. Was that Irma Bombeck? No. No. I don't know. Hi, Leslie. Sorry, I'm just checking in the chat room. I don't know what Irma Bombeck was. Chespirito, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1933, Bob Rafelson, American film director, producer, and screenwriter. He was a hippy dippy dude. He was involved with the Monkees. He was involved with Head. He was like, he was Jack Nicholson's like movie making partner or whatever. I think he was. Didn't he do Easy Rider when that his big movie? Whatever. Bob Rafelson, born on this day in 1933. He died in 2022. Born on this day in 1933, umbilical cousins with Bob Rafelson. Nina Simone, American singer, songwriter, and pianist. Don't know anything about her. I know she's important. See, here we go. Here's another cultural blind spot. I recognize that my own ignorance doesn't allow me to share in whatever magical abilities Nina Simone had. I'm just unfamiliar. It is because I've never been exposed to her and I've never sought it out, but I do recognize that there are a lot of people who are like, oh, Nina Simone. I don't know. I don't know from Nina Simone. You know what? Here, be happy. Instead of criticizing me, how about be happy that I still have a discovery of a Nina Simone possibly in my future? Huh? Isn't that a way of looking at it? I think so. Born on this day in 1934, Rue McClanahan. She was one of the Golden Girls, right? I don't know which one. I'm a butt hair out of the Golden Girls Appreciation Society. I know there's a lot of people that are like, Golden Girls is the greatest. Well, yeah, and that's the age difference between you. Golden Girls, for me, in my generation, that debuted at a time, I think it was on a Saturday night, right? Or like a Friday. It was a Saturday night show, I think so. Anyway, we were going out. I was going out on Saturday nights. I wasn't watching network TV, and I certainly wasn't watching network TV that appealed to my grandma, right? Because that's my grandma loved Golden Girls. So now, all these years later, everybody's all gaga over Golden Girls. Like I missed out on some incredible piece of American pop culture history. I don't know. Whatever. Hey, I was going out. I was trying to sneak into bars when that show was on. I was not home at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. We were out plotting our evening. But hey, happy birthday to you, Rue McClanahan. You are beloved. I don't know which one. Which one was she? Anybody know who was Rue McClanahan in Golden Girls? There was Rue McClanahan. There was Betty White, right? And then there was Maude. What was her name? B. Arthur. There was B. Arthur. Okay. Born on this day in 1943, David Geffen, American businessman, co-founder of DreamWorks, Geffen Records. David Geffen, power broker. Born on this day in 1946, Tyne Daly. Tyne Daly. She was either Cagney or Lacey. And you know what? I think she was the Cagney one. Yeah, that's interesting how they did that. So it was Tyne Daly and Sharon Glass. They were Cagney and Lacey. And one looked more lacy than, lacy is kind of a sexy word, right? But so it was like two women cops who were teamed together. I don't know if they were detectives, but one was the tough one. Yeah, see, that was Cagney. Yeah, she was a little bit tough. She was sort of Brooklyn. The other one was Lacey. That was Sharon Glass. She was a little bit more womanly. She was a little bit. Anyway, Tyne Daly, she was Cagney. She's tough. She was the tough one. Happy birthday, Tyne Daly. Oh, is she dead? Nah, she's alive still. Good for her. Good on you, Tyne Daly, for still being alive. She's younger than I thought. Okay, so no, she's allowed to still be alive. On this day in 1946, umbilical cousins with Cagney from Cagney and Lacey, Anthony Daniels. He's 3CPO, C3PO. 3CPO, whatever. God, I could never look. I'm 7 years old in a movie theater. I couldn't get it right then. Okay, so whatever. Forgive me. I'm not like neck deep in the Star Wars nerd hole. Okay, anyway, he's cool. I like him. I've seen him like be interviewed and stuff like that, and I've seen him in person, but I've never interviewed him. But he seems pretty cool. There you go. Happy birthday to you, Anthony Daniels, English actor, producer, C3PO, three C three CPO, three CPO, C3PO. Oh, they both sound right. They both sound right to me. Born on this day in 1946. Oh God, you guys, this was such a butt kick. So I saw this and I'm like, oh, look at the birthday. And then Alan Rickman. I had to relive Alan Rickman's death all over again this morning. I forgot he was dead. He died, Alan Rickman. He died like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, something like that. Forgot he was dead. He is so good. And I watch him in so many movies. I know to an entire generation, he's Professor Snape, right? From the Harry Potter movies. He's that guy. So, he's beloved in that whole generational thing. But like even before that, like Love Actually. Come on. Like Hans Gruber. He was Hans Gruber in Die Hard, man. Come on. Alan Rickman. He was so awesome. I seriously did. I had to I forgot that he had died. And so when I clicked on it, I'm like, oh, it's his birthday today. Let's learn a little bit more about him. And I'm like, oh shit, that's right, he's dead. And I got sad. So there you go. We could do an Alan Rickman draft, but there are so many weird birthdays that I wanted to fit in a whole bunch of them today. So moving on, Alan Rickman, I'm sorry that you died again. Born on this day in 1949, Jerry Harrison. Jerry Harrison of the Talking Heads, American singer-songwriter. Tom Tom Club 2, right? Talking Heads. Born on this day in 1953, William Peterson. William Peterson. He's awesome. I love William Peterson. William Peterson, I don't know why his career never really took off, but man, he's awesome. He was so awesome in the 80s. Well, and then I guess, again, to a totally different generation. What is it, Gil Grissom from CSI, right? He was like the star of the original CSI. And then, I don't know, I guess he was on that show for like 10 years and then he left and now we haven't heard from him again. Dude, he's what's Will Graham from Manhunter. Manhunter, like before Silence of the Lambs, there was Manhunter, the introduction of Hannibal Lecter. Oh, he was so good in Manhunter. To Live and Die in LA. Oh my God. Oh, his work with Michael Mann is just undeniable. Anyway, happy birthday to you, William Peterson. Born on this day in 1955, Kelsey Grammer, American actor, singer, and producer. That's how I would describe my feelings on Kelsey Grammer. I don't know. I don't know. It's like there's this weird vibe where I don't think I like him, but then, I sometimes like him. And it's like, wait, do I like him? I don't know. Here's my problem with Frasier. I always thought Frasier was a bit of an elitist TV show that was talking down to its audience and, intentionally trying to appeal to a just insufferable group of people. That was my take on Frasier. So I didn't watch Frasier. I mean, I watched some of it, and some of it was funny. But I just felt it was like, oh God, these people. I didn't like them. I rooted against them. I liked the dog and I liked the old man. For me, those were the only things to like about Frasier. So, Cheers, I love Cheers. And I liked Frasier in Cheers. It was just when he went off on his own and went all rock star, when he went solo. When Frasier went solo is when I kind of lost interest. Anyway, happy birthday, Kelsey Grammer. He was very good in a short-lived television series called Boss, where he played the boss of, the mayor of Chicago. But it showed how the corruption and the machine works in like big city corrupt politics. He was very good in that. That show was called Boss. But maybe that's why I like him. I don't know. Whatever. Hey, Kelsey Grammer, happy birthday to you. He likes hot women. So Kelsey Grammer's always running off with hot women. Excuse me. That cold thing is. I told you I took some cold medicine. Excuse me. All right. Let's see here. What else? I always get this guy's name wrong. Chuck Palahniuk. Chuck Palahniuk. The guy who wrote Fight Club. The guy who wrote Fight Club. The guy Brian Laundrie's favorite author. Remember Brian Laundrie? He was found with a whole bunch of these Chuck Palahniuk books. Anyway, Fight Club. He's the guy who wrote Fight Club. He's celebrating a birthday today, born on this day in 1962, born on this day in 1963. One of the Baldwins. What is this one under indictment? Which one is this? William Baldwin. Is he like the Jesus guy? Is he that one? Or is he? No. William Baldwin is the one that's married to China Phillips, right? China Phillips, who is the daughter of Michelle Phillips and John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas, who is also formerly, I don't know, 1/3 of Wilson Phillips, which was a band in the 90s. Yeah, that's William Baldwin. Okay, so William Baldwin is married to China Phillips. Don't have a take. That's the one Baldwin I don't have a take on. Okay, so we'll move on. Born on this day in 1963, Ranking Roger, English singer, songwriter, and musician, general public, Ranking Roger. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1964. Oh, goodness gracious. We got the Kelly twins. We got Mark Kelly and we got Scott Kelly. One of them's a senator. They're both astronauts. One of them's, I don't know which one is which. I don't know which one is Mark or Scott, the senator. I have, which one was up in space longer than anybody else? Like, did they divvy up the accomplishments or is it all just like one guy? Who's married to Gabby Gifford? Which one? I don't know. I don't have time for the Kelly brother nonsense. Do your thing, boys. I can't be caught up. It's too complicated. Born on this day in 1969, Kathy Richardson, American singer, songwriter, and guitarist, current lead singer for Jefferson Starship. Yeah, she took over for Grace Slick. Former lead singer of the Big Brother and the Holding Company. Yeah, she took over for Janis Joplin in that one. Kathy Richardson's a really great singer-songwriter, so happy birthday to her. She's big voice, big, crazy, rock. Janis Joplin voice, played Janis Joplin on Broadway. She's really good. Hey, look her up. Look her up if you're interested. Anyway, I'm a fan. Born on this day in 1969, Kathy Richardson. Born on this day in 1979, Jennifer Love Hewitt, American actress and producer. Boy, she was a thing, right? For like, I don't know, a year. She was like a thing. She was like, Jennifer Love Hewitt. I mean, I didn't even know who she was. But then all of a sudden, all these creepy old men are like, have you seen that Jennifer Love Hewitt? I'm like, who is she? Oh, she's on, what was she on? One Tree, one of those weird. Was she from Party of Five? That was a big one, right? That was the big. Was she from Party of? Maybe she was from Party of Five. I don't know. I didn't watch these shows. Just a bunch of creepy dads with daughters commenting in bars about Jennifer Love Hewitt back in 2001. I don't know. Anyway, she's not even a thing anymore, right? Is Jennifer Love Hewitt even famous? I don't even. What was the last time you saw Jennifer Love Hewitt? Born on this day in 1979, Jordan Peele, American actor, producer, and screenwriter. All right, he's the real dude, right? He's like, because Key and Peele were great. They were great, but one of them is like one of the most influential and well-regarded people in Hollywood today, and the other guy is still doing guest spots on, ABC Friday night TV. So I'm just saying, which one is he? Jordan Peele. He's the director, right? He's the Nope, and he's the Get Out, and he's that guy, right? All right, that's him. He's the big one. Do you think there's resentment? Do you think? And does Michael Keegan with Peter Michael Keegan? I don't even know his name. Oh God, is that terrible for him? Why doesn't he like get roles in all of Jordan Peele's movies? Like, wouldn't you think that would be like a thing? Or maybe he's too proud. I don't know. They were good though. Key and Peele were really good together. They were a very funny group, very funny comedy troupe. Adam says there's no resentment. Yeah, I bet that's what they both say publicly. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. I don't know. I've worked with people, and then we've broken up, and then I've actively lamented their coming successes. So I don't know. I just don't. I would never say that publicly. You just did. Hey, look at that. It's my co-host, Schizophrenic Me, making his first one. I just said that. I know. What else? Elliot Page. Elliot Page, Canadian actor, born on this day in 1987. See, this is where it gets all confusing because in 1987, Ellen Page was born. And that would be Ellen Page would be the dead name, which we're not supposed to talk about. And again, I am simply discussing this in as anthropological format as possible, just trying to get to the bottom of the way we humans are supposed to move forward in a civilized society. So please bear with me. So Ellen Page was born. So that's Juno, right? Ellen Page went on to be Juno. And then, like, they call it a dead name. So I don't know how literally they take that in the application of how they view these things. So is that person dead? So, like, that's actually kind of interesting. Wouldn't Elliot Page only be like 3 years old at this point or 2 years old at this point? I don't know. Anyway, happy birthday to you, Elliot Page. I wish you nothing but success moving forward. Born on this day in 1996. Oh, my sansa. Sophie Turner, ladies and gentlemen. Sophie Turner. Oh, is she great? Was she regal, sophisticated? She was born to be a queen. Yeah, she was. Queen of the North, whatever. Sansa. Sophie Turner, born on this day in 1996. How old does that make her? Let's see. That makes her 23 and 4. Oh, okay. She's fine. She's a grown ass woman. Let's talk about some deaths. Some deaths that occurred on this day. Malcolm X, American minister. We talked about this. Malcolm X was killed on this day in 1965. It's a very, very, very big moment in American history. Certainly in Black American history. Very big moment. We went from a very black thing to about as white a thing as possible. On this day in 1974, Tim Horton died. That's right, the guy who is a hockey player, and he started a bunch of donut shops in Canada. So, we go from the assassination of Malcolm X to a guy who's giving ice road truckers coffee and donuts in the middle of Saskatchewan. Pretty white. Doesn't get more white than a Canadian donut shop in the middle of nowhere. Dead on this day in 2018, Billy Graham, American evangelist. Billy Graham. Boy, he was the American Pope, right? Isn't that what people say about him? He was important. Here's what's interesting about Billy Graham. He was from like just a couple of towns over. He's from like Wheaton, Illinois. And he's like a western suburb of Chicago. I didn't know anything about Billy Graham growing up. You want to know what I knew about Billy Graham growing up as a Catholic? I knew that he was a very influential religious leader of people who are going to go burn in hell. That was what I knew about Billy Graham. That he was a false prophet because we were Catholic, right? So any sort of discussions like sitting around the table with my grandpa and Billy Graham comes on the news, I'd get my grandpa's point of view on Billy Graham. And in that point of view was, all those people are going to burn in hell. He's going to burn in hell because he's not Catholic. And he's basically an agent of the devil. And my grandpa wasn't even religious. Maybe he was just stupid. I don't know. But he wasn't necessarily religious. He was just, that's what he taught me. And so here we are all these years later, commemorating the passing of the great and the popular. Can't take it away from Billy Graham. And I'm telling you what my grandpa told me. Dead on this day in 2019, Peter Tork, American musician and actor, Peter Tork of the Monkees. I told the story last week about how it was supposed to be Stephen Stills. Stephen Stills was going to be that Peter Tork role in the Monkees, but he had busted up teeth and they didn't want to put him on camera. So Stephen Stills says, I got this roommate, he can play and he can sing and he's kind of cute. So, and the roommate was Peter Tork. So Stephen Stills sends Peter Tork in. Now, here's the thing about Peter Tork. The character of Peter Tork in the Monkees was completely different than who Peter Tork really was. Peter Tork was a hardcore hippie, lefty, very politically, motivated by things. Peter Tork's character wasn't supposed to be the dumb guy in the Monkees. Peter Tork's character actually had a personality, but during rehearsals, they realized that Peter Tork was improvising a lot and he was going down some very counterculture roads. So they recreated the entire character and made him dumb and gave him very few lines because they were afraid that Peter Tork would break bad. So they changed his character. Anyway, Peter Tork, dead on this day in 2019, American musician and actor. All right, let's get into all of the events that are shaping what today will become and known as. Let's get into the trends, the headlines, the hot topics, the current events, all the things that are shaping today. All right. First and foremost, Biden's in Poland. He's in Poland. Apparently, they needed help over there screwing in a light bulb. Thank you. Thank you. Putin is in the news. Putin's in the news because he's saber rattling a lot. He's, Putin nukes is what's trending. Biden's over in Poland. Putin's really angry about that. Well, Biden was in Kiev, but that was, we all should know that. Now he's in Poland, and Putin's very upset because this is a great show of Western support for the Ukrainian people and for NATO and all that kind of stuff. Brazen. Some are saying a 10-hour train ride, can't fly into Kiev. It was the first time an American president had ever been anywhere where the airspace above could not be guaranteed. That's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting thing. So whatever. But he's over there. He's over there in Poland, and Putin's freaking out. Putin this morning issued a here. Let me get this right. He basically broke away from the last remaining nuclear treaty that he had with us. Putin raises tensions on Ukraine, suspends START nuclear pact. START. Those are all capitals, so I don't know what that stands for. I'm guessing strategic response something. Russian President Vladimir Putin suspended Moscow's participation in the last remaining nuclear arms control pact with the United States, announcing the move Tuesday in a bitter speech where he made clear he would not change his strategy in the war in Ukraine. Putin emphasized, however, that Russia isn't withdrawing from the pact just yet, and hours after his address, the foreign ministry in Moscow would respect the caps on nuclear weapons under the treaty. The ministry also said Russia will continue to exchange information about test launches of ballistic missiles per earlier agreements with the United States. We aren't fighting the Ukrainian people, Putin said ahead of the war's first anniversary on Friday. Ukrainian people have become hostages of the Kyiv regime and its Western masters, which have effectively occupied the country. Okay, he invaded the country. That's all I know. I'm not, expert level on this stuff, but I know who crossed the border first. I know what direction those tanks were heading in. Come on. The speech reiterated a litany of grievances he has frequently offered as justification for the widely condemned military campaign, while vowing no military let up in a conflict that has reawakened Cold War fears. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'm a kid of the Cold War. That was my understanding of the world growing up as a young man, that at any moment the missiles could fall from the sky and we could all be vaporized. That explains Gen X. Basically hopeless our whole life, Gen X. And then at 19, right? We're around 19, 18 years old, just as we're getting into the world, you take away the whole Cold War thing. We're still walking around like Cold War zombies. That's what's held us back. I could probably go on and on. I sure could. It's the 1 year anniversary of the war coming up, February the 24th. 1 year ago, those Russian tanks rolled across the borders and into Ukrainian lands, I guess. I don't know. 2-week war. It was supposed to be a 2-week war. Boy, oh boy, if Vegas was taking bets on this one, they would have lost their shirts. It's supposed to be a 2-week war. The Russian military was supposed to run. It's a year later. And, man. Anyway, there you have it. That's coming up on the 24th. It's trending. 1 year. 1 year of war. The Supreme Court. Excuse me. This is interesting. The Supreme Court is hearing a very, very... They may have even already heard it. It concerns... So Google is being sued as owner of YouTube. Google is being sued by the parents of a college student, an American college student, who was murdered in terrorist attacks in Paris back in 2015. So these parents are now suing Google because they are claiming that YouTube allowed these ISIS groups to recruit and upload videos and promote videos, and that their algorithm, that Google's algorithm itself, is complicit in spreading and because if you click on something, all of a sudden you're just going to get a whole bunch of other things like that. So that's the complaint. What is the complicity of the algorithm? And ultimately the algorithm being AI and not human, who holds ultimate responsibility for that? So that's kind of that's what the Supreme Court is listening to. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is all about if you provide a platform for people to do really bad things, are you in any way responsible? I don't know. I don't know, man. That's some heady stuff. I'm sure that there's a lot of tech guys out there who lose sleep at night thinking about these very things because, man, I mean, algorithms basically drive our entire lives. And look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist and I don't fall down the Q hole or any of that nonsense, but you have to wonder at some point what kind of a conditioning are we getting from these algorithmic results that are essentially driving everything that we see and everything that we do? How is that affecting us? I don't know. I don't know. And is that a bad thing? I don't know. Change. I'm all for progress. If this is the way we're supposed to change and evolve, I don't know. But Supreme Court weighs Google's liability in ISIS terror case. Washington. The Supreme Court is taking up its first case about federal law that is credited with helping create the modern internet by shielding Google, Twitter, Facebook, and other companies from lawsuits over content posted on their sites by others. So apparently there is a law currently that shields the Googles and the YouTubes and the Twitters and all that from any kind of prosecution or civil, suit, whatever, pertaining to the stuff that they may have carried on their platforms. So there's already a law. So this Supreme Court case is about getting that law thrown out. All right, so there you go. So that's you know enough. You don't need to be expert. If somebody mentions this to you, you know enough. That's pretty much the whole purpose of the show. I'm not trying to get you expert level on any of these topics. I just want to make sure that you know a little bit about what people are talking about out there. Jimmy Carter is trending. Jimmy Carter is trending again. Oh, poor Jimmy Carter. What a nice old man. He's going to die. Yeah, I'm going to have to right now think that's cold. I'm sure the CNNs, the Fox Newses, and the MSNBCs had a dude working on a Jimmy Carter memorial reel 5 years ago. So, I mean, he has definitely lived a life. President Carter is on hospice care, but what is it? Our medical analysts explain. Well, I mean, we all know what hospice care is. It's if we can't do anything more for you, where would you be most comfortable? You want to die in your home? That's a beautiful thing. Let's make that happen. That's what hospice care is. So the really interesting thing about Jimmy Carter is I can't wait to see how he's lionized in death because Jimmy Carter is a complicated dude, man. Complicated guy. He has become sort of a slur among Republican politics. Like he was like the worst president that there ever was. The country was in bad shape, man. I mean, there was the gas problems, whatever. I don't even know. I wasn't old enough to truly understand the politics of Jimmy Carter. But I can tell you that since leaving the presidency, there has never been a president in my lifetime who has been more selfless, who has been more dedicated to giving back and actually serving and not serving his own interests, but serving others. I mean, dude's a baller as a human being. And that's so best thoughts for him and his family. You may not like his politics, but you cannot tell me that you think Jimmy Carter is a bad human being. You just can't. Just can't. And I don't know that there are a whole lot of politicians that you can say that about. I don't know. Is he the last? Is Jimmy Carter and look, I'm just expecting that all reasonable people hearing me right now are agreeing with me that he seems like a pretty good human being. His actions have led us to believe this, not his words, not his braggadocio, nothing like that. His actual actions over the past 40 years since he's been president has pretty much depicted this guy's a baller human being. So go with me on that. That he is a good person. Is he the? Can you think of another politician who forget about their politics is just probably a good person, a decent person? I can. I wouldn't say because I don't want to be provocative, and I'd rather hear what you people in the chat room think. But isn't that interesting? I don't know. All right. Hey, here's something. We got a gay flag arsonist. A gay flag arsonist. That's right. Did you see this? This happened in New York in the Soho district. Somebody got out of their car. Some lady got out of her car, and she walked up to this gay flag. That was, the rainbow flag. It's a restaurant. It's Soho. It's Manhattan. You got to come to expect such things. And you are expected to tolerate such things when you are in Soho in Manhattan. I don't care where you're from. You in Rome now, bitches. So a woman jumps out of a car. Oh, by the way, the flag said, "Make America Gay Again." So it was a little, a little bit of a jab there at the Trump thing. So whatever, make America gay again. It's a rainbow flag. Lady jumps out of her car and takes a lighter and sets it on fire. She lights it. She, obviously, because it's Manhattan and it's 2023, she's recorded. She's on video. They got her on video. There's video everywhere, especially in Manhattan now. I don't know if you remember, they had a bit of a security breach back in 2001. So anyway, so let me read you the story, and we'll tell you exactly what she's being charged with. And New York City authorities are looking for a woman suspected of committing a hate crime when she set fire to a pride flag hanging outside a restaurant in Soho. The incident took place at around 1:35 a.m. Okay, 1:35 a.m. Soho, New York City. She's been to dinner. She's had a couple drinks. She's probably all stirred up by her dinner conversation. Couple of more drinks, and now it's 1:35 a.m. They went out to a club afterwards. They did some dancing, more drinks, maybe a little bump in the bathroom. Yeah, more drinks. And now it's 1:35 and they're driving home to their luxury loft in Soho. And they see this "Make America Gay Again" flag. And so I think she was out drinking. There you go. That'll explain it. The arson was captured on camera, and the footage shows a red-haired woman getting out of a white SUV using a lighter to set the flag ablaze, then getting back in the passenger side of the car as it drove off. Seems like that should be easy to catch. News outlets reported that the rainbow flag bore the phrase "Make America Gay Again," an obvious lampoon of former President Donald Trump's slogan. The restaurant was closed at the time of the fire, though workers were still inside and residents had to be evacuated before emergency services arrived to put out the fire. No one was injured, and the fire didn't result in a major structural damage to the restaurant. All right, so there you go. So just a drunk lady doing drunk lady stuff. So I guess the reason that they want to attach a hate crime, and it seems to fairly obviously fit the parameters of what I understand a hate crime to be. Anything that's motivated against a specific group of people. It seems like her wanting to burn the gay pride flag would be an obvious nod in that direction. But isn't just like lighting shit on fire illegal anyway? Isn't like it's like what is the crime? Okay, so let's say it was a Texas A&M flag, and you're driving down Soho and you see it and you jump out and you light the Texas A&M flag. Isn't that still illegal? And shouldn't that be, because you apply the hate crime and then you start talking about, oh, there were people in the building and this could have and would have and should have, you start extrapolating all of these different possible multiverse avenues. But you don't do that when it's just a drunk guy burning an A&M flag, right? So it becomes the question. So what you're really punishing is the attitude, the mindset, the deliberate action of being angry. That's the real conversation. Is that a reason to have added charges? I don't know. I think just I just think burning a flag, I think burning anything. I think if you just jump out of a car and start something on fire, I think that should carry a pretty heavy crime. right? A pretty heavy. It's not. It's probably just, vandalism. And then it's like, work down to, reckless mischief. Turns out. So somebody does that for anything. I don't know. I understand why people don't like hate crimes being added on these things. I tend to support them in most cases where it seems obvious. Like this, it seems obvious, but you do have to sort of work that through and you have to intellectualize it. You're like, okay, so what? So really, when you add the hate crime, what you're doing now is now you're trying to create a charge for the way this person thinks, for the way this, and I don't know, that should make everybody a little bit uncomfortable. There is a degree of vengeance too, though, on us that, oh well, we got him. He's a bad guy, and we disagree with the way. So I mean, I don't know how righteous is that, How about people just stop being dicks to each other? That would be how I would fix it if I were emperor of this great land. All right, but we move on. Alec Baldwin is trending. Now we know this Baldwin. We had an issue earlier with one of the Baldwins having a birthday. William Baldwin, we determined that he is the one married to China Phillips, and he is the one that I have absolutely no takes on. Alec Baldwin, I got takes for days on Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin, oh geez, this guy. Nobody has frustrated me more. As I always say about Alec Baldwin, Jack Donaghy on 30 Rock is one of the funniest characters in television sitcom history. End of story, and print it. Can never take that away. But then he got so Baldwin-y, and then he'd do a movie where he'd play like a straight role, like a heavy, and he'd be really good. And I'd be like, oh, I like Alec Baldwin again. And then he'd get so Baldwin-y, it's like all this stuff. So anyway, Alec Baldwin, when last we checked in on him, he had been charged with a whole bunch. Boy, they dropped a book on him with the Rust film set shooting. I'm going to go ahead and say it, accidental shooting, because you're not going to convince me that, even though I'm like Alec Baldwin, you're not going to convince me that he was like, I'm going to shoot these people. That's stupid. Was it an accident? Absolutely. Does somebody need to pay for that accident? Yeah, I guess we'll find out. I don't know. I'm not a New Mexico County attorney. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But he got a bunch of charges like bark down. Bark down. Is that even a word? So I guess like the most serious charges they dropped in New Mexico. Let's see what this is. Prosecutors downgrade Alec Baldwin manslaughter charges in Rust shooting case. Alec Baldwin will face reduced charges in the accidental 2021 shooting death of Rust cinematographer Helena Hutchins. This according to New Mexico prosecutors. Lawyers for both Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez Reed, the young armorer on the set of the Western, had argued that the two involuntary manslaughter charges brought against their clients last month were partly based on a new law that had gone into effect after the shooting. All right, I don't need to get into the minutia. Anyway, it's lesser charges. Let's see. What else do we have here? It's a story about local news. The story is about local news, and about how there is a group out there. I guess you could call it like a political action committee. It's a group out there, and they are advocating and lobbying for local news organizations. They believe that local news, and the absence currently of local news, is one of the primary reasons why we have such rampant misinformation out there. People are just getting news that pleases them. People are just getting news that, oh, I like this headline, so I'm going to click on it and I'm going to read it, and that's going to be all the news I get. Like I said, if you are sitting down and watching your news, your information of choice every night, and you're pleased by it, it entertains you, then you're not getting real news. News is supposed to unnerve you. News is supposed to it's supposed to give you the unvarnished reality of what's going on out there. And a lot of times it's shit that you don't want to hear, but sit through it. Be tougher than that. So anyway, local news is claiming that the absence of their influence in the last couple of decades, especially on local communities, has basically led these local communities to seek outside news sources, which maybe clutter their mind or their agendas with nonsense when they should be focused on the issues of their own community and being involved there. Instead, you got people storming the Capitol instead of storming their own student meeting. I was going to say teacher student meetings or whatever those are, the parent conferences. What are those things? School board meetings. But then I realized that now we've gotten pretty good at storming school board meetings over the last couple of years. So, but anyway, I here's what I think about local news. When I was coming up, that was my primary source of news. The 10 p.m. local network affiliate news, right? That was it. Well, we knew the local weather guy. We knew the local sports guy. We knew the local anchors. They were rock stars. They were the biggest celebrities in town. I've been here in Dallas almost 2 years now, back in Dallas. I have not watched 1 minute of local Dallas news. I have no idea. The other day we were playing something of a viral video that I had pulled off the internet, and it featured Fox 4 here in Dallas. And I was like, "Oh, look, it's what's her name? Heather Hayes. Oh, look, it's Heather Hayes. Oh, my old friend. I didn't even know she was still on the air. Is she? I mean, I don't even know." So that's an interesting thing to think about, is the fact that we no longer are bombarded in the way we were. I'll use the term bombarded. We were bombarded in the 70s and 80s with local issues and local news and local stories and all of this kind of stuff. And then suddenly, the Fox News, CNNs, and MSNBCs came along, and it pulled us away. It stopped us from actually focusing on our own communities and being involved and knowing what is happening. I don't know. Anyway, that's what this local news advocacy group is trying to do. They want tax breaks. They want tax breaks for like local newsrooms, local newspapers. And the reason they want the tax breaks is they're saying they're arguing it's in the best interest of the community. I tend to agree. I think local news needs to have a place in the shit that informs us. We don't need to be angry about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is a congresswoman from New York. We're in Texas. She has no bearing. Stop worrying about her. But can you name the mayor of your town? Can you? I mean, anyway, 4-day work week is also trending. 4-day work week. That's a thing that they say is coming, and they're saying it's better for the economy. They say it's better for companies, and they say it's better for the humans. The humans who are now working 4 days. So over in England, they did this big study. Well, I'll read it to you. I think it was like a year. More than 60 companies tried a 4-day work week. And results show why 92% of the companies are keeping it. Let's see here. What is this? I got to shut up. A pilot program testing a 4-day work week in the United Kingdom has been hailed as a resounding success after employees reported improved well-being, and a majority of the participating companies said they would keep the change. A total of 61 British companies with around 2,900 workers were enrolled in the trial, with employees working an average of 34 hours across 4 days. Employees working an average of 34 hours across 4 days between June and December. All right, so you got to squeeze 34 hours into 4 days of work. All right. Would you do that? That sounds good. You get a 3-day weekend well, how would that work? Would it be on like a Monday through Friday schedule? Like, would you get Fridays off, or I don't know. At the conclusion of the 6-month trial, 56 of those companies, or 92%, decided to stick with a 4-day work week, and 18 did so permanently. The findings of this pilot program were released by Autonomy, a British-based think tank that partnered with UK academics to conduct the study. Backed by 4-Day Week Global, a New Zealand-based campaign that advocates a 4-day work week globally. A shorter work week was found to improve employees' well-being. Before and after data showed that 39% of employees reported feeling less stressed, while 71% had reduced levels of burnout at the end of the trial. Surveyed employees said they also felt less anxious, less fatigued, and were sleeping better. Employees also said their work-life balance improved, but the benefits were not limited to just the workers. All right. 93% of managers who were involved in this study, 93% of managers support a 4-day work week schedule. 64% think their company will transition within 5 years to a 4-day work week schedule. Huh. All right. I don't know. And there's less work to do. There's just, we keep making people and there's just less work to do. I don't know. Can you fill up 5 days of working 8 hours a day anymore? I mean, computers and AI and all this stuff does all of our jobs for us now. When was the last time you called and got like a human being right away? I mean, so I don't know, 4-day work week. Maybe we'll be happier. Maybe we'll just be a happier society with a little bit more time on our hands. Hey, you only live once. You got to be happy. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Here's one from over the weekend that I wanted to mention. Richard Belzer died. Richard Belzer, the comedian, the actor. What was he on? Law and Order or one of those SVU shows. He played Munch, Detective Munch, I think was his name. Started on Homicide. Richard Belzer was a comedian. He was a stand-up comedian for like 40 years, and he never made it. And all of his friends made it. All of the guys that he came up with made it. And Richard Belzer never quite made it. I mean, he made it in that he was a guy who you knew if you watched comedy in the 80s, right? Because he would be on The Tonight Show, or he would be on, but he wasn't Jay Leno, right? He wasn't Billy Crystal. He wasn't Richard Pryor. He wasn't George Carlin. He was known as a comedian's comedian. Like, other comedians loved him. He was fearless. He was dark. Did a bunch of movies, but probably most famous, most enduring role was that of Munch on Homicide, and then on SVU. I loved comedy as a kid. He was not one of my favorites. I think that when I was exposed to the stand-up comedy of Richard Belzer, I was probably 9 or 10, and he was probably talking to at least a 17, 18-year-old. So I don't know. Maybe if I went back and watched some of his comedy, I don't know. I liked Homicide Life on the Streets. That's where I knew him as. I didn't watch SVU, but I knew him from that, and I liked him in that. Richard Belzer, the beloved comedian who began as an edgy stand-up performer before finding further fame as the cynical but stalwart Detective John Munch on Homicide, Life on the Street, and Law and Order Special Victims Unit, has died. He was 78 years old. Belzer died early Sunday at his home in Bazoules in southwest France. Writer Bill Sheft, a longtime friend of the actor, told The Hollywood Reporter he had lots of health issues, and his last words were, "Fuck you, motherfucker," Sheft said. Belzer made his film debut in the hilarious The Groove Tube in 1974. He warmed up audiences in the early days of Saturday Night Live and famously was put to sleep by Hulk Hogan. Munch made his first appearance in 1993 on the very first episode of Homicide, and his last in 2016 on Law and Order SVU. In between those two NBC dramas, Belzer played the detective on 8 other series, and his hold on the character lasted longer than James Arnaz on Gunsmoke and Kelsey Grammer's on Cheers and Frasier. Certainly one of the most memorable cops in TV history, Munch, based on real-life Baltimore detective, was highly intelligent, doggedly diligent, and he believed in conspiracy theories, distrusted the system, and pursued justice through a jaded eye. All right, there you have it. Richard Belzer, gone but not forgotten. Again, I never really appreciated his so-called edgy comedy. But I was like 10. I don't know. Tom Sizemore. We also need to talk about Tom Sizemore. Tom Sizemore is making some news. Tom Sizemore used to make a lot of news. Tom Sizemore was like the Charlie Sheen B team. Like, if there was an off day where Charlie Sheen wasn't getting into some nonsense, Tom Sizemore was. Tom Sizemore was always getting found in a parking lot of a Target somewhere in Central California with a crack pipe in his hand. Those were the kind of things that Tom Sizemore was getting in trouble for. stupid shit, but Tom Sizemore, man. All right, so I have some difficulty with Tom Sizemore. I sometimes confuse Tom Sizemore and Michael Madsen. Yeah, I bet you do too. Think about it. Michael Madsen and Tom Sizemore to me are like, and there's another one too. There's another actor that I put in that group. I don't know. I can't think of it right now. But Tom Sizemore and is it Michael Moriarty? No, it's not Michael Moriarty. No, Michael Madsen, Tom Sizemore, and there's another one. I can't think of. Anyway, I think I like both Michael Madsen and Tom Sizemore. Michael Madsen is the Quentin Tarantino guy. He's Pulp Fiction. He's he's Reservoir Dogs. But Tom Sizemore is like Steven Spielberg's guy, right? Like Saving Private Ryan and stuff. Anyway, I don't know. Tom Sizemore is having a rough go of it. He's put his body through some stuff now. Tom Sizemore of Saving Private Ryan in critical condition after brain aneurysm. This according to his rep. Tom Sizemore, the Saving Private Ryan actor, is hospitalized in intensive care after suffering a brain aneurysm, his spokesperson told CNN Sunday morning. Sizemore is in critical condition and is in a wait-and-see situation, said the spokesperson. His family is aware and awaiting updates. There is no further update at this time. Sizemore, a 61-year-old from Detroit, appeared in a number of hit crime and war movies in the 90s and 2000s, including the films Heat, Natural Born Killers, Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down. Yeah, Sizemore's done a lot of cool stuff. Often portraying tough guys. He is perhaps best known for playing Sergeant Mike Horvath in the World War II movie Saving Private Ryan. As the loyal sergeant alongside stars Tom Hanks, Sizemore delivers the titular line toward the end of the movie. Someday we may look back on this and decide that Saving Private Ryan was the one decent thing we were able to pull out of this god-awful shitty mess. In addition, Sizemore was nominated for a Golden Globe Award in 2000, blah, blah, blah. Sizemore has long struggled with drug addiction and had a litany of legal issues during his career. He was convicted in 2003 of domestic violence charges stemming from a relationship with his former fiancée, Hollywood Madam Heidi Fleiss. He told CNN's Larry King in a 2010 interview that he had been addicted to cocaine, heroin, and meth, and he participated in the 2010 season of the reality show Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. So there you go. Tom Sizemore. I don't know if he's clean. I don't know if he's still doing drugs. I don't know what he's had a lot of nonsense associated with that stuff, and he suffered a brain aneurysm. So best thoughts for old Tom Sizemore. This is the last story that I have prepared for us. So maybe we're going to be doing a shorter than usual show. But, it's a good story to go out on. Last night on Pugs and Parker, we do that every Monday through Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's myself and James Parker. It's more conversational. I guess we're doing guest week. We've got another very special guest that's going to come on today. Very excited to talk to this guy. He's one of my favorite people. Last night we had Richard Hunter on, Big Dick Hunter, from formerly of The Ticket and formerly of Live 105.3. He told us some stories. That was last night's Pugs and Parker show. So last night we had, if you want to hear that, you can go to pugscast.com. Okay, so we had Richard Hunter was last night. So this story comes to us. I wish we had this story last night, although it was probably going down according to the timeline here, right when we were talking to Richard Hunter. Richard Hunter used to be the manager, or he used to run the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. He made a couple of mentions about that in last night's interview. I think he referenced Dennis Hoff and stuff, but he worked for Dennis Hoff. And Big Dick Hunter, Richard Hunter, do you remember years ago when Lamar Odom did so many drugs and had so much sex with prostitutes that he OD'd at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, and he went into a coma and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, you remember that? Richard Hunter is the person who found Lamar Odom. Richard Hunter found Lamar Odom, rolled him over on the bed. Anyway, So Richard Hunter has a history with the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, and he knows how the operations work there. And then here today, I've got this amazing Moonlight Bunny Ranch story. Female employee arrested after shooting at Moonlight Bunny Ranch brothel in Nevada. A female employee was taken into custody early Tuesday morning after shots were fired at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch brothel in Mound House, Nevada. This according to multiple reports. The shooting happened around 9:30 p.m. last night. Lyon County Sheriff Brad Pope said his office was called to the legal brothel for a reported dispute between two co-workers. Two of the ladies got into it about something. See, this is why it would have been good to have Dick Hunter here, because he could say, he's like, oh, yeah, oh, those girls fight all the time. Well, this one turned, actually, I don't know if it turned deadly. Let's find out, shall we? Sheriff's Department personnel heard gunshots as they arrived on the scene and began to evacuate the building. Oh, man. A bunch of county judges with towels, whoop, 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 you know, running through the living room of this funky Nevada brothel, which is probably just a bunch of double wides stacked together. Sheriff's Department personnel heard gunshots. See, this is why we could have used Richard Hunter. He could fill in these blanks. Sheriff's Department personnel heard gunshots as they arrived on the scene and began to evacuate the building. Sheriff Pope said the suspected shooter then hid in a room within the brothel. Okay, so person pulls two prostitutes are getting into a fight. One of them pulls a gun. There are shots fired. Everybody runs. Police show up. Shooter hides in a bedroom. Place is now evacuated. Cops have it surrounded. Sheriff Pope said the suspected shooter then hid in a room within the brothel. A crisis negotiation team and multiple other tactical teams were called in to assist with the barricaded employee. Deputies attempted to talk to the suspect over a loudspeaker in an effort to convince her to exit. That's where we finally get clarification. Yeah, it was another one of the ladies, one of the lady employees there at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. She's hiding in a room. She just blew this gig, man. This poor girl, whatever her station in life is, that has led her to this prime spot at one of Nevada's highest profile legal brothels. She has blown it. She has blown it. She's going to lose her job. She's never going to be able to bankroll her boyfriend's next album. This is going to have real serious. And now she has lost her shit and she's fired a gun and she is finding herself barricaded inside a room. She is losing it right now. This girl, she snapped. This job's important to her. Oh my God. Let's see. Deputies attempted to talk the suspect out over a loudspeaker in an effort to convince her to exit the building with her hands up. Carson Now News reported that the female employee surrendered to authorities around 12:30 a.m. without incident. It is unknown how many people were inside the brothel during the shooting. Carson City Sheriff Ken Furlong told Fox 4 News, News 4 Fox 11. What was it? News 4 Fox 11. What, that doesn't make any sense. That no one was injured. The Moonlight Bunny Ranch was owned by Dennis Hoff before his death in 2018. It was featured in the HBO series Cat House. All right. See that? I would love to have Richard Hunter's take on that story. All right. That's it for stuff that I've got prepared. Let's jump in. Dare we jump into Twitter and see what Twitter is offering as far as their trends at the moment? I know we do this at the end of every show and I don't understand Twitter trends. I don't like it. It's changing. It's different and I don't like it. Okay. Let's see what do we got trending. See, it's always just like Nina Simone is trending. Nina, we celebrated. I feel good. We celebrated Nina Simone. It's her birthday. I don't know who she is, but there are a lot of people who love her and think that she is great. So there you go. Nina Simone trending right now on Twitter. What was she, a singer? What kind of singing? Does she have any hits? Was she like Roberta Flack? Like, I know Roberta Flack. I like Roberta Flack. She had hits. I know her. I don't know Nina Simone. DeBrat. Just speaking of, I know who DeBrat is because she's one of Chicago's proud female lesbian hip hop personalities. DeBrat's trending because I guess she's pregnant. She's like 50 and she's pregnant and a lesbian, but in a committed relationship and got money and means and all that stuff. So whatever. Okay, DeBrat. Ben Stein is trending. Why is Ben Stein? I remember that guy. Bueller. Ben Stein is trending. What is he trending for? Okay, never mind. He's trending for some political BS. We don't play that political BS game. Lent is trending. Oh, is tomorrow Ash Wednesday? Is tonight the start of Lent? Is today Fat Tuesday? It seems like I should know that. And we just spent an entire hour and 15 minutes covering the day. Well. Okay, what's this about? Lonzo is trending. That can only mean Lonzo Ball of my Chicago Bulls, who this poor kid has been hurt for just ever, his poor knee. What do we get? Did we get good Lonzo Ball news? Considering the Lonzo Ball will not return this season. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what we figured. Yeah. All right. That's going to do it, folks. We are out of topic tree. Blame the day. Don't blame me. We just ran out of stuff to do. Did a lot of birthdays for you. There were a lot of fun birthdays today. We celebrated those. It's kind of a slow news day. Maybe something big will happen. Yeah, Mardi Gras this weekend, right? So that would make tonight Fat Tuesday. That would make today Fat Tuesday. And that would make tomorrow Ash Wednesday. Tomorrow's the day when, you get to see who all the dirty Catholics are on TV news, because they all have a little bit of ash on their forehead. Some of them, I think, are doing it performatively. But whatever. I've got my poetry. Never going to be able to bankroll her boyfriend's next album. Oh. Well, she's not. That's why she's working at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. Because Ricky and the guys, that Sunset Strip glam metal from the 80s thing is coming back. All they need is to just make that next album. All right, you guys, I love you all. You're the best. Join us we got a very special guest on tonight, a surprise guest on tonight's Pugs and Parker. That's 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us, won't you? Tip the show if you can. We appreciate you. The show runs on your gratuities because you're awesome. And that's it. All right, bye, everybody. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an All right. I just realized you guys let me do this entire show with the Pugs and Parker banner up there. Oh my God. That's on you. You people should have pointed that out. Yeah, I know. The show started out. I did 5 minutes with my mics turned off. I get it. It wasn't a banner night for me. Guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401. I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.